Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive, or P-Bandai exclusive, HGUC Gundam GP00 Engage 0. Now, the reason why I'm saying Engage 0 is that for those who are not too familiar with other variants, or, you know, the overall Gundam lore and stuff, there was, or already existed, a Gundam unit named called Gundam GP00, so, GP00. Basically in the GPO series, there's GPO 1, 2, and 3, and then even up to 4, which later became Gerbera Tetra. Either way, there was GP00, which was called Blossom, which was pretty much the start of the project. Now, this thing is also not exactly from that line, or kind of similar to that line, but it has a different start, basically. So, this unit was actually seen, according to the wiki, was in the Engage 0, some sort of Mobile Suit Gundam mobile game, which I haven't played and wasn't really aware about. So anyway, it was in there, and then it was roughly built and developed at the same time as the Gundam GP00, or a little bit later than that. The only one of the interesting aspects is that this was not only made by Anaheim Electronics, but they also put in some Xeon engineering into it as well, hence having the more curvy look compared to like a typical what a Mobile Suit Gundam type would look like, fully made by the Federation. Alright, so let's see what we got. So, for those who might have been on YouTube, you might have seen like some combat scenes with this fighting against some sort of a special looking camper, but yeah. Alright, so let's talk about components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the unit itself, looking very good, and currently I have the multi-purpose hands on it as well. And I might have forgotten something as well. So on this side we have a action base. Yes, these are one of those kits that comes with its own action base. Not the best action base out there, but yeah, it's helpful. And then because of its structure in the skirt area, they do give you a peg extension. So I believe it's like the same peg size, but once again, because of it needs to be a little bit longer, they give you this extension to actually use this. So yeah. And then you do get some leftover polycaps, nothing too special there. No specifically, other than the polycap, there's no leftover pieces because it's its own original design. And here we have the sticker sheet. Now, the sticker sheet may look like a lot, but I'm not sure why. Okay, the sticker sheet may look like a lot, but it doesn't really, it's not one of those stickers where it literally shows everywhere. So, yeah, once you apply it, it's not that bad as well. And the only one I didn't use is the V symbol that's in the crotch area. And here are the components. So let's get rid of the typical stuff. You do get two beam saber effect parts because you also do get two beam saber hilts. You get, other than the multi-purpose hands, you do get the fully open hands left and right. Well done. And oops, sorry about that. And then you do get its own beam rifle. Now it definitely does look like the GP01 beam rifle, but a little bit more simplified as well. Now this is a very simple beam rifle, so unlike the previous ones we've seen, the front part doesn't move. The ammo pack doesn't look similar, but yeah, it's definitely a much more compact version because the GP01, especially to be more specific, the full Burnian, you may notice that it does also have like a beam saber effect part that you can attach on the front area, but this one does not. So much more shorter and compact. So you can definitely see it's a simplistic version of that. And then you get a shield. Once again, a very similar looking shield, the ones that we see as the GP01. But unlike that, this one's a full-fledged single shield, while that one has the folding gimmick. So yeah, we can definitely see its traits. And once again, we do have the connector for the arm. And we get a gigantic backpack. So this is like a additional backpack. So you can either use this or that. So it's really up to your preference on which to use. But yeah, these are technically interchangeable as well. Just to give you guys an advance, so each side here is actually connected to a ball joint. So as you can see, you can kind of extend that if you want to do so. So moving them around is no problem as well. And then the thrusters itself, the large one is also on a ball joint. So you do have a little bit of a wiggle there. The bottom one, not so much as a wiggle. And then we get two red stickers on the other side as well. So that's that. Alright, now let's look at the kit itself. So once again, let's see what we got. So let's start with the head. So head-wise, yeah, definitely a much more alien type head now. Because the overall design definitely looks like something it would happen, like you might kind of would fit in kind of the G-Reco area period, or slightly before the G-Reco period as well. So Yeah, but anyway, the head definitely, I do like the overall different style of design. The eyes are obviously a sticker, and then we do have a nice head camera up there as a pink sticker as well. And then we have two more large cameras. Yeah, this is actually considered a very large camera onto the sides as well. The head can go down obviously, and then up. Not so much, because I think it's just the overall design and shape. But there we go. If I do extend the ball joint a little bit, you can go a little bit more upwards, but I wouldn't say this is ideal, so that's that. And then 360 twist, I would say, it's possible to do so. There's just enough space to actually rotate on its own. And then, believe it or not, these black sections on the chest area, in the hole, those are actually stickers. But once again, if you don't want to use the stickers, you can always color that middle section with black markers. It should be pretty easy to do so. So yeah. And then we have a very, very small sticker on the chest here. This one was actually a little bit tricky to apply, but once again, it is possible as well. And then looking at the back section here, we have the backpack, and there's another camera sticker on the head on the back section. Here is the more simple basic backpack. This also has its own movement, can go up and down like that. And then there's another sticker there. So yeah, very simple looking backpack as well. And you can also detach that and to choose which one to use, the large one or the big one. So no big deal there. Before we go to the arms, I would like to show that the beam sabers. Now this is a very interesting case where the beam sabers hilts are usually on the backpack, like for example RX-78 or gym types. They would actually be connected to the backpack, but in this case, these things are actually connected to the main body, which is a very interesting design trait. Now, once again, these beam sabers do feel a little bit longer and larger than a typical beam saber hilt that we see in other kits. And I would like to remind you that these things are connected on very small pegs. So when you're actually taking them out, do be careful, because these are one of those things where if you're not careful, you can accidentally break them off, and then you have a peg inside the beam saber hilt and not being able to use the beam saber hilt at all. So do be careful. Now the way how this thing is structured, it does feel like they should be able to move left and right, but mine is extremely stiff, so I'm not going to take that risk as well. So just be aware of that aspect. Alright, now the arms. They do have your typical forward and backward movement going on here. They do move out a bit like that, even the joints inside there. Going to the side about 90 degrees as possible. And then because the overall connection is a ball joint, going 360 on the arm is also possible as well. Now the arm itself, 360 twist, possible as well. And then shoulder flap does move on its own. And then bend wise, yeah, you do get a decent bend. Not all the way up, but more than 90 degrees. And once again, these red lines, you might see these red lines, which was also another prominent design aspect that you can only see in the GPO series as well. So you get two on the arms like that, left and right, and then 2 on the knees, left and right, and then another 2 on the feet, or top of the feet, or wherever you call that. So yeah, you get 6 of these line stickers. They're not too bad, and I think these are also the easier ones. If you have like a red marker or / red pen, it should be easy to color. Now once again, the V symbol on the crotch is supposed to be a sticker. I decided to use a gold Gundam marker as well. I just need to do a little bit more cleanup and it should be good. Alright, now body wise, there's not much there's no hip movement or ab crunch over there, so it's pretty much there. And then going 360, it has barely enough space to go 360 as well. Side to side, not so much. There is a little bit of wiggle, but not really meant for it. And then I would like to mention about the waist section. So the front skirts, it's just your typical front skirt as well. Although they are they are in a single piece, so keep that in mind. But I believe these are these are the ones that are like the middle. You can divide them in each one if you want to do so. Now from the front, it may look like it actually has its own side skirts, but no, these are actually gigantic. I'm gonna say gigantic back skirts, but that also works like side skirts. So you have these gigantic ones. They can all flop around, but you're supposed to be able to lock them into place on this section right over here, and yeah, it should be good to go. But yeah, because of this aspect, it does look like it has its own side skirts, but yeah, it's just the back skirts connecting to the sides as well. Alright, so let me just extend that. So the legs, we do have a nice side swivel going on here, and then going to the side 90 degrees as possible, although you're going to have to unlock this place as well. And then bend wise, pretty decent bend, almost a double jointed bend I think, yeah, but not all the way. I'm actually trying to go for it, but not really moving at all. Feet wise, once again, we do get a decent amount of articulation here, forward and backward as possible because of the overall connection style there, and then because of the ball joint going side to side is possible, and a very nice pivot joint is possible. Alright, So once again, we've seen the basics of the unit. So for what it is and overall style, it has your very standard, typical modern HD style articulation. The only difference would be just the overall style and design of the unit. So we've seen the basics, and I'll be right back with its equipment, and we'll end it off there. Okay, I'm back. So I did clean up the kit a little bit more and also reattached the beam saber hilt on one side, and I decided to attach the larger backpack onto the back. So once again, the shield connection works very fine as well, and because the way how the shield is connected to the connector, where it's actually a ball jointed connector, so you have your option to put it on the side or on the bottom as well. Oops, sorry about that. Accidentally bent it a little bit. So once again, once you have it in its arm, it should be as long as you don't force it out of it, because the peg here, compared to other kits, it is a little bit on the short side, because anybody who's started with like the from the beginning of the HGUC versions of the kits, you might have noticed that the pegs are much longer back then. So yeah, it is a bit shorter, but once again, it's like one of those clipping styles, so once you have it in, it should be fine. And because it's on a ball joint, you should be able to rotate the shield any way you want to do so as well. So no big deal. And then once again, the hand does hold the beam saber with no problem as well. So once again, it is a bit long, it is on the long side compared to the traditional style. And then once again, I forgot to mention, but for the beam rifle, I did already show this, but it does come with its own dedicated trigger finger hand, so holding the beam rifle should be no problem as well. And on the scope, it also has its own sticker. So that is pretty much it. So once again, the action base here, I forgot to mention why I said it's the extended peg that you need, is because here is where the connection goes on. So you can see it's actually being covered up by the side skirts as well. So with the regular peg, it doesn't actually reach just enough to get in there, because it's actually getting collided by the bottom sections, which is why you do need that and plug it in. But once again, I would suggest to get one of those Tamashi Nation's action stands, because they're much more worth it. Because with this stand is all right just on its own, but once again, it is limited in terms of movement. Sure, you can kind of change the angles here, but it's not exactly the precise type of angles that you want. So if you want to have more action, definitely do invest on a separate action base as well. Anyway, that is pretty much it so this was the review of the P-Bandai exclusive HGUC Gundam GP00 Engage 0 version. So I believe on some videos I've seen, there was a Titans color version, so I wouldn't be surprised if they actually release a Titans color version as well. And speaking of Gundam GP00, I do hope they do either release I don't know, maybe a master grade or HD version of the original Gundam GP00, because that would be great, because they are releasing a Robot Damashi. I don't think it's releasing today in Korea, but I believe it might be releasing this week in Japan, so who knows. Anyway, if you guys got any questions or requests, in the comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.